wild.
Last night I was up reading by the bay window watching it, and within like 10-15 minutes at like 11, it completely flooded like the little grass triangle by our house.
I think the water went over my dock. I actually live on the water down the block right here, so I haven't really seen it like that ever.
In the last few years, we've seen high tides and storm surges get worse and worse. We've reached out to the federal government, to the state government to get more help, and we're hoping to see that.
Jeremy's Ale House.
Well, we're certainly feeling forgotten around these parts, and it is a taste of things to come when the hurricane comes, as you know. So South Shore 12 continuing to be all over the South Shore now regarding all the problems that they've dealt with the storm, flooding problems, while they haven't covered any of the tree damage or the damage that's happened in the middle of the island or the North Shore from this storm. And not to mention there can be flash flooding inland too. But I guess the folks at South Shore 12, well, like I said, we are a complete dead zone here in the middle of the island, particularly the middle of Nassau County, where we might as well just it feels like we don't even exist at all. And, what really upsets me more than anything is all the money they're asking for so they can continue to live their lifestyles on the South Shore. Money that would be better spent on other things, like maybe housing the homeless, the homeless that are all over the streets here in Mineola, making sure they have a place to live. That would certainly be a better way to spend that money. And maybe many of these homeless people have mental health problems. Maybe they shouldn't be cutting mental health services and spending the money on mental health services instead. Or infrastructure, improving infrastructure. What about that? But no, it's not. This is what we deal with here in Mineola, but nobody cares about us. Literally, like the Michael Jackson song, nobody cares about us. It's all about these kind of people here. These are the kind of people that are important to on Long Island, and you have to be living with these kind of people if you want to matter. So all over the page, it's all about the South Shore. We have three stories on the South Shore, let's play some of these videos here and just. I'm just disgusted here, because they're asking for money to fix this. And I'm sick of hearing about this, asking for money to rehab Suffolk County beaches. Now the governor is involved, asking for money. It's unbelievable that she'll do that, but she won't do anything about getting these criminals off the streets, anything like that. It's so obvious. It's just all about these kind of people in this state. And when you watch South Shore 12, rarely do you ever actually, one thing I noticed here, and it's unbelievable that if you watch nothing but News 12 Long Island or South Shore 12, you would think that Long Island is just all white people, because that's all you see on this network. It's unbelievable. It really is. And they're going to get called out for this, and they're also going to get called out for their coverage of Fire Island, because they were ignoring Fire Island Pines, and we all know why they were ignoring Fire Island Pines.
The South Shore still reeling from Tuesday's storm. Governor Hochul tonight called on the Army Corps of Engineers to help, but local leaders and neighbors say more needs to be done, and they spoke with News 12's John
More
Dowdy.
needs to be done. More needs to be done.
We knew that we were going to be more or less stranded.
Lacey Rudder has gotten used to her street in Babylon flooding.
Stranded. You don't know what stranded is. Try not having your car and having the bus not show up. That's stranded.
Stranding her in her home for days, even during a regular rainstorm. Yesterday was no different.
I had to wade out across the neighbor's yard to get to my car to go to my appointment. And it was the following day, there was absolutely no wind, like it was sunny, and the water was still that high.
Luckily for Lacey, she just got a few inches of water in her basement and garage. But as we've seen, others weren't so
lucky. It's all about these people.
Governor Hochul today sent a letter to the Army Corps of Engineers asking for emergency rehab assistance for South Shore beaches. But local officials say more needs to be done.
We need funding yesterday.
Brookhaven Town Councilman Neil Foley represents.
So this annoys me, all right? So you have all this damage. What about all the damage that's been done by southern pine beetle? What about all the damage that's been done by southern pine beetle? What about that? No, they don't. They don't talk about that because it's all about these people. It's all about these white people on the South Shore. It's unbelievable. It really is.
Represents
I'm
areas
disgusted.
including Patchogue and Fire Island. He's one of many Long Island leaders who wants the governor to declare a state of emergency.
State of emergency.
By her declaring a state of emergency, it will cut red tape with the DEC. It will cut red tape with a lot of different issues with permits. Why not? I mean, this is a state of emergency.
He says it's the first step in a long process to get direct assistance to residents.
All about
Without the
these
help,
people,
he warns
Babylon.
it could force some residents to move away, something Lacey says she's thought about.
At some point, it's like, when do you make a choice? You're like, I can't live here anymore because if it's going to keep happening, it's going to get worse.
That's right. It's going to get worse. The climate is changing.
And when asked if a state of emergency will be
that's
declared,
one thing.
Governor
One
Hochul's
thing again. That's one thing that you can never say on South Shore 12. You can never bring up climate change. It's strictly forbidden.
office told us, quote, we are continuing to assess the damage from
Babylon.
this week's extreme weather and will continue to aggressively fight for every federal dollar we are eligible for. That's the latest here from Babylon tonight. I'm John Dowding, News 12.
All about
Long
these
Island.
important people. All right, so you watch that. Then we go to this one, South State. South Shore, they're urging for the South Shore.
We're still assessing all of that damage from Tuesday's storm. We spoke exclusively with the commissioner of the State Department of Environmental Conservation about what it will take to build a more resilient shoreline.
What about the rest of the island?
We see the impacts of severe weather. It's happening more frequently with more intensity than ever before.
Parts of Long Island are still drying out after Tuesday's storm, and the work to rebuild is just beginning.
What about these ridiculous wooden poles that we have on the main line here that could come down on these houses here? All right, what about this? I'm going to show you this for a minute. Take a look at this, all right? So they never replaced all these poles. Look at these old wooden poles. Yeah, that's an old street view, all right? They never put new poles here. They never put, these poles are still here. These old poles are still leaning like that, all right? They never put new poles in. So I could get you another view here. This is an old one. But they never put new poles in. Take a look at this. Storm resiliency. Talk about storm resiliency. We got a few crooked poles over here, too. Can't really see them from the street view. Yeah, look at that one. That one's crooked. That's going to come down in a storm. Why don't we have metal poles here? Where's our storm resiliency? No, it's just all about them. It's all about them. It's all about them because they got the white skin and the Wall Street connections, and the rest of us just don't matter.
DEC Commissioner Basil Segos talks exclusively with News 12 about their
I'm not going to shut up about
ahead
this.
of another potential storm on Friday.
We have some asks already into the federal government from recent storms to rebuild some of those dunes.
How about asking the federal government for help to save the Pine Barrens from the southern pine beetle so we can get some more controlled burns? How about that? No, the shore is way more important.
We'll certainly be doing that again because this storm packed a real punch on our island's beaches.
High tides flooded communities and eroded beaches all across the South Shore,
What
undoing
about the
many
South
repairs
Shore?
made since the last storm. The governor has 30 days to make a disaster declaration that could unlock federal funding. Right now, though, it's too soon to predict how much this storm will cost Long Islanders.
Hey, Rachel, it's super hard to tell right now. I mean, we are still in the middle of the response, and we have a few days ahead of us, a few weeks ahead of us,
throw more
before
money
we're
at
able
the
to tally
problem,
those
into
damage
the rising
assessments, and then,
seas.
of course, go to the federal government asking for help.
Commissioner Sego says that this could be an expensive storm. So when it comes to requesting federal funding, opening reimbursement programs, he tells me at this point, everything is on.
Yeah, we got to reimburse these people for their flooding. We got to forget about this. Forget about this. Forget about the homeless people in Mineola. Forget about the cuts to mental health. Forget all that. No, it's always about these people here. They're more important and superior to everybody else. It's all about them. And if you're not like them, it's like you don't even exist on Long Island. It's unbelievable what's going on. It really is. It really is, and it disgusts me tremendously. And that was the second story, right? We got more. Here's another one. Jones Beach remains flooded.
Nassau dry out from the storm. Neighbors are preparing for the next one.
Here we go.
News 12's Kevin Vesey in Massapequa.
Massapequa.
Where people are keeping a close eye on the water.
It's just all about these people, man. It's just all about them.
Yeah, and Kevin, this really
it's
is
unbelievable.
the kind of 1-2 punch nobody around here wants to deal with right now. This neighborhood just finished recovering from the last storm, and now they're getting ready to do it all over again.
The water was all the way up the driveway, coming all the way
all
up the
about
lawns.
them.
It's a great South Bay in the front yard.
Tidewater Avenue in Massapequa was
All
underwater
about them.
after Tuesday night's storm. Now this neighborhood is preparing for round 2 with Mother Nature.
When you hear a storm's coming, then you're
all
just
white
like,
people.
not again.
Parts of Jones
You would
Beach
think
are
only white
still
people live on
flooded.
Long Island.
State Parks Regional Director George Gorman says strong storms like this are happening more often.
Now we see storm after storm, flooding after flooding. It's becoming commonplace, unfortunately.
A protective
But
sand.
they're not allowed to say why it's becoming commonplace. It's because of climate change. It's because of climate change. But you have all these climate deniers here on Long Island that are drinking Trump-Aid every freaking morning, and they get up and they don't realize what's going on.
Barrier at
They're
Jones
just too dumb
Beach
to
was
realize.
broken in several spots by powerful waves. Officials hope crews can repair it Friday morning. Meanwhile, communities along the South Shore are bracing for the next storm.
I hope we're okay. All you can do is hope. There's really not much else that you can do.
Got to roll with Mother Nature.
All about these people, I'm telling you.
So very true. And people who live around here, they're already planning to move their cars back to higher ground and tie down their garbage cans once again. Kevin, this is becoming an unfortunate part of their routine.
Yeah, well, that's what's happening because of climate change. But they're not never going to mention that. They're never going to mention that. They're just never going to mention it. It's unbelievable. It really, really is. It really is. And there's another story. I don't know if this is the same one. Do we play this one? Yeah, we did play that one already. It's just unbelievable. And of course, they cover this story. Of course, this is hilarious here. This is not news.
They'll
all right?
never
What
forget.
the heck?
It ended on the Express
Really?
story.
This is not news.
going to do, but there are
This is
other
not
plans.
news.
He came really fast and furious.
In fact, that the couple
A
didn't
kid
make it
came
to
out
the
early and
hospital.
just-
Ro was born in our car in front of Top
It's
Golf
like just
on
more
the
white
LIE.
people again.
Ashley
It's like
says her
more
prime
preppy
couple
white
decided
people.
it was
That's all
time
we.
to head to the
That's all we have
hospital.
news for on
But
South
We
Shore.
were
12.
about 5 minutes down.
When he broke, they instructed the Bards over the
Just
phone that
preppy.
the baby wasn't going to wait.
I jumped out of my car and I went in the back seat. I saw the baby's head,
East
and
Quogue,
a
another
second
enclave.
later, that baby was delivered in my hands.
I mean,
and
it's just unbelievable how the rest of us are forgotten. You would think that Long Island was nothing, but I mean, the FCC needs to do something about this network, but they're not going to because they don't broadcast over the air. Another one. I mean, seriously.
Island of Fire
Island. This is where I'm going to call out South Shore 12 for not talking about Fire Island Pines. So, there's been absolute terrible damage in Fire Island Pines. And there was, let's see if they're going to talk about Fire Island Pines, because there was a breach in Fire Island Pines. The breach. Let's see if we can find the news for it for you. Storm creates 2 new breaches. All right. Let's see if they covered this. Fire Island Community Court. Let's see if they covered this. Fire Island Pines. So at least Channel 7 spoke with people at Fire Island Pines. But no, not South Shore 12. They're in Ocean Beach, which is like the preppy town in Fire Island, basically. All right, we all know why that is. Let's see if we can find it. Yeah, here we go. All right, so again, all about Ocean Beach because again, South Shore 12 is for white preppy people, and most of them, you know, people accuse News 12, I hear it all the time, of being liberal. They seem to be very much a Trumper. It seems like everybody who works there and everybody who they gear to is in their white little Trumpy little world down there on the South Shore, and they're oblivious to every climate change. And we know why. This station is a racist station, South Shore 12. Not only are they racist, but they're also anti-LGBTQ. All right, because you never see them covering any of these issues in the LGBT communities. You never see them covering issues in diverse communities. It's TV for white people. How do they get away with this? And this you could say you can blame Altice, but they run News 12 New Jersey, and they don't do this. It's because there is tremendous racism on Long Island. Everything I've talked about in this video is about just how racist and segregated Long Island has become. It's worse now than it was 30 years ago. It's worse than it's ever been as far as I've seen it.
Officials say help is seriously needed there.
Here we go
News
again.
12's
They want more
Cecilia
money.
Dowd toured the damage at Ocean Beach.
Ocean Beach, the land of no.
Destruction across Fire Island.
Ocean Beach is the kind of town where you can't walk down. You know, if you want to have a lemonade while you're at the beach, well, that's going to be a big fine for you. It's the land of no.
New Suffolk County Executive Ed Romaine reacting to how much damage Tuesday's storm caused.
Who said Romaine
says the county
cater
needs
to them?
help.
Everybody's got to cater to them, right?
For an emergency order, we're hoping we can qualify for federal aid so we can help communities like Ocean Beach rebuild after devastation.
What about Fire Island Pines? They had a breach there.
Many homes have water in them, too.
The Ocean Beach mayor
More
says
white
it's the
people.
worst flooding since Sandy. The police chief said the ocean
TV
met
for
the
white
bay.
straight
We're
people.
probably going to have to get the floors ripped up and redone.
I mean, it's
There were
unbelievable.
several inches of water in Dockside Brick Oven Pizza in Delhi.
Upsetting. I'm going to close at 1:30 and get on the boat because I don't want to be here.
Here on the ocean side, there were dunes until the water washed them away.
They are getting beach nourishment from the Army Corps, but it stops here, okay? It doesn't go east. So from Seaview all the way to Davis Park, we have major erosion.
This is the Catholic Church on Ocean Beach. The police and fire
Catholic
chief
Church,
here
of
says he
course.
expects it will take weeks for this water to recede. This school with 40 students in total.
It's just so
walked
obvious
out.
who this
We have
TV
the ocean
state,
water coming down here,
TV
plus the bay
station
water
used
coming
to.
up this way. School,
This guy
fortunately,
looks like a
was high enough.
stockbroker.
After 50 years, you get tired of it. You know, it is sad.
Cecilia Dowd, News 12, Long
So,
Island.
County Executive Romaine said that he talked to the governor Thursday, who told him that she had a team on Long Island. Meantime, the mayor of Ocean Beach warns people who may visit to be smart. He said, don't bring kids and be sure to wear boots because they don't know what's in the water.
oh boy. So let's go to the other story here on Fire Island. Hopefully this one will talk about Fire Island Pines, because Fire Island Pines actually got hit very hard. There is a breach that it actually breached from the bay to the ocean in Fire Island Pines. And Fire Island Pines got hit, I think, harder than a lot of the other communities. You get South Shore 12 couldn't be there. And gee, I wonder why that is. That's because Fire Island Pines is a large LGBTQ community. That's why South Shore 12 isn't there. But fortunately, the city stations were, and they covered this. So we're
Especially
gonna
that
take a look
coastal
at this.
storm
Let's see.
earlier this week. The beaches, of course, protected by dunes, which help protect the coastline. But they lost so much sand this year that the community is
Wow,
now
look at
calling
that
on the Army
footage.
Corps of Engineers to do something
Now
to
let's
try
see
to
if they
fix it
talk
and
about
protect
Fire
homes
Island
from
Pines.
future storms.
Here's Long Island reporter Shantae Lands.
The serenity on Fire Island is overcome with deep concern. Monday's storm has created dangerous erosion. Brookhaven town officials now confirming that Fire Island has lost double the amount of sand than it had in all of last year.
This is not funny anymore. It's like, this is a real emergency.
Fire Commissioner Walter Boss has lived on the barrier island for more than 50 years.
We lost another 20 feet with live trees, and it's just getting closer by the minute.
To put this
So
into
he's from
perspective,
Fire Island Pines.
this
He's the fire
cliff
chief.
nearly gone. The sandbags beneath
Those pitch points on the
exposed.
top of that?
And the
There
sand
are.
on top washed away
Wow.
on Monday's storms meant to protect this substation. This power substation near
Yep.
the Great South Bay is one of 3 providing electricity to the island. Over on the ocean side,
a much
Fire
better
Island
report.
Pines community, sand dunes protecting homes are gone, yards of sand missing, and steps to the beach now lead to nowhere.
This is
Oh my
where
gosh.
I live most of the year, and it really pains me to see this happening to my community, to my home.
Resident Eric Sawyer says what's more damning is that Monday's storm washed away one of 2 vital roads, both desperately needed
Oh my
to bring
gosh.
in crews to fight
See, South Shore
fires.
12
The
didn't
only
even
way
cover
to
that.
get into the community in the winter is driving on the road, and our problem
just too
now
focused
is
on Ocean
that
Beach.
The beach has so eroded that you can't drive a truck down.
700 homes are on Fire Island. Homeowner Karen McCutcheon, who's the community manager for the island's Property Owners Association, wants the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to step in and help.
The Army Corps is currently a few miles down the beach doing replenishment in some of the other communities, and they're refusing to come down here and help where it's really needed.
The Army Corps of Engineers say they plan to assess the damage
They're
from Monday's
discriminating
storm to see
against,
if it qualifies for emergency assistance. Either way, Brookhaven Town Councilman Neil Foley is sounding the alarm.
If we lose Fire Island, the South Shore and the coastline will become very vulnerable to significant flooding, storm surge, and we could lose homes on the South Shore of the island.
Very bad. And, you know, at least their store, it's like a completely different station. I don't know what it is with News 12 Long Island. Why they like this? I really don't know. But that's just why I'm here to call them out, because nobody else is doing it. And, you know, and you have to wonder, why is the Army Corps of Engineers stopping at Ocean Beach on Fire Island? Why are they stopping at Ocean Beach? Why aren't they protecting the rest of Fire Island? Why is that? Let's go over to Fire Island, and I'll show you what Fire Island looks like. So they're just going up to Ocean Beach, and that's it, and then they stop over here. All right, so they're just protecting this area here. But it seems like they don't want to protect Cherry Grove. They don't want to protect Pointer Woods. They don't want to protect Sailor's Haven or Fire Island Pines, which is where Fire Island Pines, again, got severe damage. They got hit harder than a lot of the other communities. And yet South Shore 12 is nowhere to be found over there. No, they're in Ocean Beach because Ocean Beach is popular with the Wall Street crowd. All right. That's really what it's all about. And, you know, and then the fact that, and I'll stand by that fact that, again, this network, News 12 Long Island, is a racist, anti-LGBTQ network. All right. It's TV for narrow-minded, arrogant white people is what it is. And people will say on my comments, why do you watch? Why do you watch? Because they are the only Long Island-based TV news station. That's why I watch. All right? I don't want to sit through a bunch of stories about the city or Westchester, and that's why I watch. All right? That's why I watch. But it's not really, you can't really, I'm blaming News 12 Long Island, and I'm angry at them. Altice, but Altice is just doing what's happening all across Long Island. And that's because on Long Island, it's always about this group of people. The rest of the island is ignored. It's always about this group of people, these white finance professionals, people like this. It's always about people like that. All right? It's always about people like that. But it's never about a more diverse crowd. You never see them. When do you ever see South Shore 12 speak with the Indian American community or the Asian American community or even the Hispanic community? They never do. I don't understand how they can just dismiss like this whole part of the island here. How do you get away with just saying this whole part of the island doesn't exist? How do you get away with saying this whole part of the island doesn't exist? How do you get away with that? I really would like to know. How do you get away with that? How do you do that in 2024 now? That this kind of crap continues and that it's more racist and segregated than ever before. How does that even happen? And it sucks because I want to have a good quality of life. I don't want to be around this kind of depressing scenes. But that means if I want to have a good quality of life, then I've got to be with people like that. People who I have nothing in common with other than skin color, all right? That's the only thing I have in common with them, all right? But yet I've got to be with them if I want a good quality life. Otherwise, I got to deal with this. I mean, what kind of crap is this, really? Just because we're diverse, we've got to deal with this? Because we're not white enough, we're not rich enough, we got to deal with this? And we got to deal with this too? The trash, the homeless, we have to deal with it just because? Just because? Really? But the South Shore gets flooded with that. It's all about them, right? The rest of us, we don't matter. I'm not going to shut up about this. This is wrong. It sucks that I think I want to be with a bunch of preppy people like that. You know? I wish we could all have all these good things. Why can't all of us have a thriving downtown? Why does it just have to be these people? Why does it just have to be these people who get to be safe? Why can't all of us be safe? Why can't all of us have to not worry about having illegals dumped in our communities? No, why is it only them that are protected? Why is it only them that it's spoken about? I'm just tired of it, man. It's not right. But I know it's all part of the plan. Long Island, we're getting forced off Long Island. All of us. Except for those preppy white people. The rest of us are going to get disgusted and leave. And I am seeing less Indian people. I'm seeing less Asian people around. All right? The communities that used to have, I see a lot of Indian. I don't see them anymore. They're leaving the state. They've had it. They're tired of being discriminated against. They're going to New Jersey or they're going somewhere else. All right? So this is all part of the big picture, folks. It's very politically incorrect, but South Shore 12 is just representative of what's happening all across Long Island. We could look at Newsday. It's the same thing. It's all about the South Shore, South Shore, South Shore, South Shore. Tesla fire in Lindenhurst. If that happened in the middle of the island, they wouldn't even covered it. All right? It's all about the South Shore. South Shore, South Shore, South Shore. Always. Always about the South Shore, right? You know, they didn't even talk about the thing that happened in Mineola. You can't even find anything about the kind of stuff that we deal with in Mineola. Man, this is the kind of stuff we get to deal with in Mineola. Homeless people in our community trying to go through homes, all right? Trying to break into homes. This is what we have to deal with, but nobody cares, right? Nobody cares because it happened in the middle of the island. And, you know, I'm not going to put up with being ignored just because of where one lives on Long Island, just because of one's skin color and income or sexual orientation in 2024 of all times. But that's because we had a president who put this country back 30 freaking years, all right? And now we have an old man who's feeble and sucks just as bad. We need a president like Obama again. We need a real person, or somebody like Phil Murphy, you know? Somebody to get this country in the right direction, you know? This state is really screwed up. But it's all, again, part of the plan to force us to go live in New Jersey or somewhere else. So Long Island's controlled by Wall Street and these white finance professionals, and you got to live with them in the enclaves if you want to count. And if you can't live with them, well, then you're going to deal with all the problems to be miserable. And a lot of people are just saying, screw that, we're leaving. I can't blame them, and sadly, I'll probably be joining them one day, unless a miracle happens, you know. But, you know, trying to get into one of the enclaves is like it's like trying to find a needle in a haystack of the middle of the Pine Barrens. All right, very long odds. You know, the plan is not something that one can easily overcome. And I know so many want me to be quiet about this, but I can't. Not when I see what's going on. It's absolutely, utterly ridiculous. And I'm not going to put up with it. They are forcing us out, but it doesn't mean I have to be quiet about it. I'm going to keep fighting about it and talking about this because, you know, it's wrong. It's ridiculous. We all know where these winds are blowing, and they're blowing a lot of us over to other places outside of Long Island, and it's really unfortunate. But this is what Long Island has become. It's all about these white finance professionals, and the rest of us just don't seem to exist anymore. We're completely forgotten, and you know, it's not right. It's not right. And so if you made it through the whole video, thank you for watching. Please comment and like and share, because, you know, we got to keep talking about this. This is not something that I'm going to be quiet about. Have a good night.